My name is Sarah. I've been driving a rig for 9 years. I've crossed ice storms in Minnesota, semi-desert dust in Wyoming, and golf ball-sized hail in Nebraska. Most of the time, it's just routine. Load, check, strap everything tight, inspect the tires, and follow the GPS until unloading. We don't get paid by the hour. Anyone who lives off freight learns to squeeze the clock. I've learned to function on little sleep, lukewarm coffee, and sheer stubbornness. That Tuesday in May, I left the yard in Bismarck, North Dakota at 4 p.m. with a delivery scheduled for Billings, Montana, early the next morning. Dispatch was delayed. I had already missed the perfect window, and I decided to make up for it on the road. Crosswinds, clear sky, dropping temperatures. I checked the radio on Channel 19. No one answered. I like silence, but that night it carried another weight. It was past 11 p.m. when my body began to give in. Yawning, heavy eyelids, that low hum in the back of my head. I keep a small bottle of smelling salts in the console for these dead hours. I lifted the vial, inhaled deep. My nostrils burned, my eyes watered, my heart raced. It worked, for a while. Near midnight, the state way station was closed, and the next rest area was blocked off with cones and a faded yellow sign. Maintenance. None of the cones reflected properly. Odd, but fine. I kept going. My focus was slipping, so I flipped on the high beams and fog lights. The lane stretched like an endless carpet. That's when I saw the first object, right in the middle of the road, a large worn red blanket. I swerved by instinct. About 50 yards ahead, a filthy pillow appeared. I frowned. At this hour, in the middle of nowhere? I kept driving, slowed down, and stayed alert. When my headlights caught a dirty teddy bear with its head seam split open and stuffing spilling out, a chill ran through me. I slowed to 20 miles an hour. The radio stayed dead. I took a deep breath. Up ahead, a torn school backpack. I stopped pretending this was coincidence. It wasn't. The highway runs alongside a windbreak of trees, and beyond them a drainage canal. The vegetation thins, then thickens again, forming dark pockets. That's when an old cell phone with a shattered screen appeared. I hit the brakes carefully. I checked the mirrors. No one. I sat still for about 10 seconds. I cracked the window open a hand's width. Cold air cut in sharp. I was about to dial 911, but the signal bar flickered and dropped to 0. I tried the radio. Breaker 19, anyone on 94 West between Sterling and Menoken. Possible hazard on the road. Silence. I turned the wheel slightly right to sweep the shoulder with my headlights. And in that movement, the beam caught a stained child's blanket at the edge of the ditch. My stomach turned. I didn't get out. Instead, I rolled forward a few yards, real slow, and that's when I saw them. Lined up side by side, perfectly placed. A pair of small blue children's shoes, just past the blanket. At that exact moment, a child's scream came from the trees, high and sharp. I froze, hand on the gear shift. A second scream, nearly identical, sounded from the canal side. Too identical. I aimed the headlights into the tree line and leaned on the horn for 3 seconds. The glare sliced through trunks, swept branches, and for a split second I saw 3 figures pulling back. One of them raised something rectangular. It looked like a big speaker taped to a low branch. The light caught them, and they vanished behind the trees like roaches scattering. My skin crawled head to toe. I went with the safe plan. Don't get out of the truck. I shifted, eased off the clutch, and rolled forward until something smacked the side of the rig. A metallic crack. Another object flew from the darkness and struck the passenger window, splintering a webbed crack into the lower corner. My heart jumped into my throat. I gave up on careful maneuvering. I straightened the wheel, floored it, and ran over the teddy bear and the blanket. In the mirrors, I caught a flashlight bouncing and the flicker of a red LED up above. It looked like a drone. Another child's scream, the same pitch, the same length. As the truck picked up speed, the steering pulled left, something on the tires. I checked the panel, pressure dropping. Then I heard 3 sharp thuds under the floor. Chains. I didn't wait to find out. My focus was on getting out of there fast. It felt like forever before the next exit 2 miles sign finally showed. I pulled off, climbed the overpass, and drove straight into the bright lot of a 24-hour truck stop I knew. I parked between 2 semis, killed the lights, kept the engine idling, and locked everything. Only then did I realize I was shaking. The attendant noticed my cracked window and asked if I wanted to call the police. I did. I told them everything. The state trooper asked for coordinates. I noted landmarks, closed way station, blocked rest area, listed the objects in order: blanket, pillow, teddy bear, backpack, cell phone, blanket, blue children's shoes. He said he'd send a unit and told me to wait for updates. I stayed at the stop until dawn, snapped some photos of the damage, and headed on to Billings, eager to unload and get away from it all. After the delivery, I crashed for 9 hours straight at a roadside motel. When I woke up, there was an email from the trooper. They had searched the stretch and found an improvised camp behind the tree line. Generator, battery, Bluetooth speakers, homemade spike strips, nails welded to chains, an empty child's backpack, and tire marks along the shoulder. No people. They collected everything and filed a report. The trooper suggested I have my rig checked out, just in case. I found a magnetic tracker the size of a cigarette pack stuck to the chassis with black tape. The mechanic also spotted long scratches on the trailer, 3 straight lines forming a crude symbol like a crooked E. Police came to collect the tracker. They never told me if it led anywhere. 2 weeks later, on a cold morning, I was sleeping in the cab bunk at a distribution center in Missoula, waiting for the dock to open at 5 a.m. I woke to a noise, something scraping along the side. I slid into the driver's seat in silence, no lights, and peered through the windshield corner. Nothing. I stepped out with my flashlight on low, circled the truck. On the passenger step, someone had carefully placed, spotless, as if brand new, the same pair of blue children's shoes. I froze all over again. I locked everything, fired up the engine, moved the truck under a yard camera, and sat with the radio on until daylight. I handed the shoes to security. They called the county police, who took notes. Words, forms, professional smiles. Nothing that filled the hole in my gut. Since then, sometimes I hear that scream again, not loud like before. I keep the dashcam on at all times now. I switch to routes that start before dawn whenever I can. I've learned it's not cowardice to stay inside, and that light and noise are still the best weapons for an empty rig in the middle of nowhere. I always wonder, and the pair of shoes? They weren't accepted as evidence in the first report. Now I keep them in a clear box behind the passenger seat. Every time I climb a mountain pass at night or cross a silent plain, I think maybe it's a terrible idea to keep them with me. To this day, I have no idea what those people were trying to do that night. I don't know why they scattered those objects or why they used fake child screams to lure me. I also don't know why they didn't attack when they had the chance, or what they would have done if I had left the truck and followed the voices. In all my years of trucking, nothing has ever come close to being as strange or as terrifying as that experience.
Thank you so much for your company. If this story kept you hooked, don't forget to click on the card to watch the next story.